That's good.
Rolled out the welcome wagon.
Gotta say, I can't help but wonder if this is a lost cause.
Well, you know, some lost causes are worth fighting for.
Let's just think this through.
So, I got an idea. Frontal assault, guns blazing. Make for a good story.
Why'd we bring you along again? Rear entrance. We'll get inside via the parking garage.
And welcome back to part 33 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where today we're gonna break into the Shinra Building and officially begin Operation Save Aerith. Well, at least that's what I'm calling it. If anything else happens to, you know, present itself whilst we're up there, like, oh, I don't know, President Shinra being right in front of us whilst we've got our weapons aimed at him, then brilliant. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. We'll see how it goes as it happens.
Somehow, I don't think it's
This mega tower that we're approaching, though, does have like 70 odd floors. You don't do all of them, obviously. You actually only really worry about like the top 7 or 8 floors as a whole. When we get in there, we just gotta get in there first. Because Barrett's plan of shoot at the front door is clearly a bad one. Because there's no way that 3 people are going to be more than enough to stand a chance against the might of, you know, the security likely held in that building. So we need to find an alternate means of getting in.
We need to be smart.
Whilst we're doing that, though, if you were like paying a hyper attention like over the past like few hours or so, you'll notice that I like changed the name of my channel like 6 times. I've been toying with different ideas to like kind of like not rebrand, but kind of just rework the channel and try and clean it up and just change a few things. And one of the small things, like I wanted to kind of make like a playoff, like almost not stage name, but kind of like a playoff thing for the name, so it's something a bit more natural, as opposed to just being my full name and it just being Robert Maurice, the channel. But everything I tried out, everything I thought of, just didn't really click for me, or felt generic, or didn't work well, or just, I don't know, it just didn't like feel as smooth or as natural as I wanted it to be. So for now, at least, and probably for the while being, I just shrunk it down to what most people call me, which is Rob. So it's just going to be Rob Maurice from now on the channel, as in the channel name, instead of Robert Maurice. Which, yes, that is how you pronounce Robert. It's not Robert. I hate to break it to you, but it's not spelled R-A-W, it's spelled R-O-B, as in robot. I have no idea why that pronunciation of putting it Robert is so common in the US, despite how wrong it is. There's no A or W in my name, it's robot, so Robert. Genuinely, that's what I've never understood. Every single American person, or individual, or someone with an American accent, has always pronounced my name that way, and I don't get it. It's like, you pronounce robot just fine, why can't you pronounce Robert just fine? Like, you know, like, I digress, there's a cutscene.
That one there. That's a Shinra truck, isn't it?
Come on.
How's it looking out there?
Anything?
Nah.
All clear.
Roger. Okay, head on in.
So far, so good.
Where'd you come from?
in the original Final Fantasy VII, you literally like rocked up to the door and the game went, okay, either go for the aggressive option or take a staircase out back. Then that's how they worked it. Whilst in this, it's like, well, no, that didn't make any sense then. It really won't make sense now. There's actual, like, you know, photorealism to everything going on. We need to find a way for you guys to actually get into the Shinra building in a manner that makes some kind of sense. So instead of being you just rock up to the front door, hopping on the truck and trying to sneak in and it going awry so you have a bit more combat, yeah, that makes more sense.
The idea was to not get
I was concerned that they were going to get rid of like the most famous part of this section, which is like nothing to do with the actual like event of why we're here. It's just like I said on the original, it was either go through the front door or take the stairs in like a back route, and you'd have to go up the stairs all 60 odd floors. I think it was 59 floors. And you had to do it yourself, and it was a stupendously long, pointless section that was just there if you didn't want to do the fighting through the front door. And I was concerned getting to it. It's like, are they going to get rid of that? Because we're here? Like, we've gone, like, it's already kind of scripted a normal way for it. No. To jump the gun, no. We're going to go up those stairs later on. For the sake of showing it off, but not missing the encounters, I save on the bottom step. So I can go up the stairs, show you how it works and you know the journey, and then just once I got to the top, I just loaded my save and instead spare me going all the way back down. Because there's nothing actually stopping you because you get to the top step, it will play like an actual cutscene and it will put you on the other side of the door. But there's something stopping you from immediately turning around and going back down all the stairs if you so desire. You're an absolute monster if you do, but you can. And the game actually has a very clever way of knocking out its loading zones, because you can't go down every single step. There was something that I don't show in this because I couldn't remember exactly where it was, and the section's long enough when you do go up the stairs. But it's like on the 15th, 25th, 35th, 45th, and 55th floor. Once you reach them, if you U-turn and try and go back down, you will hit the wall of the load screens. Because it's like every 10 or so floors, you hit a new load section to make it so it doesn't have to worry and can basically save on resources since you're just going upstairs. Save you having to, you know, save you having to render all 59 floors at once so you decline them. It only renders like the gap you're in. But if you try and go back down and hit the load wall, you'll get unique dialogue each time. But I don't bother doing that because it's quite like a stretch of itself. Like I said, it's after the 15th, it's like every 10 floors you have to then turn around and go back down like 10 or 15 floors again just to have that dialogue pop up. Especially when you get to the 55th floor, because your characters tire. They actually get more tired as you climb up it, so they get slower. They start off being able to sprint. By the end, there's a very slow, exhausted walk. Getting to the 55th floor when they're absolutely knackered, and then turning around and trying to walk down several floors. Yeah, no, that won't go down well. That'll take a while. The enemies here are kind of annoying. The elite grenaders will not just shoot one grenade when they shoot. So sometimes you'll just get clipped a bunch of times for like no real good reason. And you'll just have to accept it. Which is why anytime you see me get a breather, I take it as an opportunity to heal. Because I know the next encounter might just end up being just that bit more annoying to deal with. And someone might get downed for it if I don't heal every fight. But there's boxes everywhere. As you can see them on that back shelf over there. I could probably knock them down if I wanted as well. Ay. Also, of all the talk I've been doing about this Let's Play will absolutely end up having a gap in the middle of it because of how late I did it. All of it together, if I work extra hard and kind of end up stressing myself out a little bit on Christmas week, this Let's Play could theoretically be done on Christmas Eve. Whether or not it will be, we'll see. I'd rather, if I can, I will, because leaving only 1 or 2 videos left in the Let's Play and then having you guys wait until the New Year, like I said, I'll be taking Christmas week and New Year's week off. Yeah, that would be a bit painful. I don't think I could reasonably do that. I'd have to squeeze something in. But if I continue the Monday to Friday upload and, you know, can keep up on it as well as, you know, the Christmas week extravaganza that work is, the last video would, I think, will be good to go on Christmas Eve. which would be nice if I can get that to happen, because literally on Christmas Eve, okay, see you in the new year. Like, what a perfect place to wrap up the Let's Play. But like I said, but that's a huge we'll see. There's no guarantee on that yet. We still have the extra video, but that will be in the new year, absolutely. I haven't even started recording that, nor have I entertained the thought of starting to record it. That is just a new year thing. And additionally, Integrate might go into recording, but like I said, that's another huge we'll see, as I know. If I end up not being able to do Integrate for whatever reason, I will try and make it so the next Let's Play is good to go as the bonus video is done. So it's not 2 weeks, one video, time off again, you know? But that's also keeping in mind, like, with the whole 2 weeks off thing, I'm being vague with that. It might be longer, it might be less. It very much depends once we get there what happens, whether I take more time or less time.
Nobody's home.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea where they might be holding Aerith?
I'm thinking a research facility. That'd make the most sense.
And where is that?
Upper floors. Maybe near the top. That's where you are.
Maybe.
Maybe we can use the console at the reception desk to find out.
But we've made it. We are in the Shinra Building. And like I said, in the original, you just came straight through the front door. I love how they've recreated this, though. When the moment I looked at this, I went, oh yeah, this is definitely this room from the original game. Just brought to, you know, modern hardware. Like, it is the same sort of structure. These force fields weren't here, but it is what it is. That's just part of something new for this section.
I don't think we should try touching it.
Shit, making life hard.
Yeah, it's just whether these are an alarm or a painful kind of barricade. There's another one on the back wall over there you can see. You're going to see me kind of look and linger around because it's kind of, especially on my first playthrough, it was very exciting to be in here. It's like to get to this point after the original and how I remembered it, and seeing that they kind of honored it really well. I said, yeah, we're about to do a section that's very unique, but it's just the fact that they did it. I was like, ooh. Also, special mention, I kind of only grazed past it, so you don't get to see all the details. You'll get to see more of it later, but that motorcycle that we passed is one of great significance and infamy that we'll get to later on. But I deliberately didn't want to have it like square on the screen and stare at it for a while, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's some, there can still be some we'll see when we get there kind of vaguity. Just remember that's there for much later on. But somehow, with Cloud's eagle eyes, he can spot that key card in that room from there. Okay.
Go up and over,
but we need to get over and so we can drop down through the roof hatch. And there's things along the ceiling to grab and like mantle across, so it's not impossible. But Cloud can do a lot of things. And to be fair, in cutscenes he's super acrobatic.
I think I'll give it a shot.
But this isn't a cutscene. Well, this is a cutscene right now. But this isn't a cutscene. This is a gameplay section, so they make it so it's just Tifa's time to shine. And unfortunately, like, I know in later parts they will make up for this by the nature of the original story, but I feel like the Tifa's time to shine chapter was her side quest extravaganza in chapter 3 and not anything more personal to her, whilst Barrett got the whole of, you know, chapter 13 to himself. So I feel like Tifa kind of got a little bit the short end of the stick, that she got this side quest for fun, whilst Tifa's only unique section to her is this, which is very short. Her final weapon is in here, and that's something else that's worth mentioning. Everyone's final weapons are coming up. We are that late in the game. And her final weapon has, although not her best skill in terms of usability, her best skill in terms of actually getting through some content in a reasonable standard. Her last weapon, the purple gloves, I can't remember what they're called, I just always know them as the purple gloves, gives her True Strike. True Strike boosts stagger like her triangle button, but by a shit ton. The idea, if you want to absolutely maximize stagger, and if you're going for the trophy of getting 300% stagger, the way you're doing it is get 2 strike, spend 2 ATB to build up Tifa to rise and fall, like her max leveled extra power. Have 2 ATB for max strike for true strike. Get the stagger, true strike twice, rise and fall. I forget what the other one's called, the overpower, where you just press triangle again and she does like the one shoulder check. You will be very close, and if you can just build up ATB for another true strike on top of it, you'll hit 300%. You'll be on like 280 by that point. But it's over here. As I said, I always call them the purple gloves, but they're called the purple pain. And they're the weapon that I'll be leaving on Tifa, I believe, for the rest of the game, because they're just really good. And True Strike looks like it's an amazing ability to get. But that's it. That's all 6 of Tifa's weapons. In this game, every character gets 6 weapons. And you can see, as it starts, it's not... like, a lot of those stats I know are from materia, so it gets fixed up by its own. Which is why afterwards I equip it, I go back and check through to get a more accurate comparison. And then I'm like, okay, no, this is a very good all-rounder. I'll keep it. And I'm going to replace Dive Kick because it's not that helpful. Similar to Overpower, I don't find Dive Kick that helpful. It's like a lot of Tifa's skills are for combo expanding, but they're not necessarily the most practical. Sometimes you want the thing that gets the most damage in a short amount of time. And everything I've got on her now kind of foots that bill, which is why I go for it and tend to ignore Dive Kick and Overpower. Because Chi Trap is great for damage control, group manipulation, and just keeping up pressure. True Strike is the stagger god. She has a thing that makes it so she gets more access to her moveset.
Bring it on.
I mean, like, it's just everything ends up slotting into it in that regard. And Star Strike is a great damage dealer full stop. Or Star Shower, whichever one it's called. It's like in the same way that I don't really use Cloud's Blade Beam when we get it. Like, I will, because I know, like I said, there's a shop later in this chapter that actually does thankfully sell it. And it annoys me because I made all that panic of like, oh god, I've missed it. I'm going to have to do it in the extra video. I'm going to have to explain to the audience. Just for me to get there and be like, wow, thanks all guides and walkthroughs under the sun that not one of them ever told me or would share with me that it actually pops up in later shops as well. Thanks. I know it's more likely that just in my panic I missed it somewhere, but it was still kind of annoying that I couldn't find it anywhere that said it appears in later shops as well. All I saw was it's in chapter 14. You don't get it. Oh well. But because I do get it, it does mean we're still back on track. It's just I get that one later, but we're back on track for getting all the weapons in this game. Tifa's little section is kind of nice, but only on your first run, if I'm honest. Like, when I come back on repeated runs, you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing, and it just feels like one very, like, slow miniature section where you're just, like, holding forward, basically, with Tifa until she does everything. Because there's really not much you can do yourself here.
Almost there.
The only thing is, you're going to see me kind of sit, well, as we go over this, it's going to be a point where you're going to see me kind of sit on one of the hooks that we're going to swing off. Instead of like one of these chandelier things, there are these hooks that she's only going to be able to grab with her hands that you have to swing your body with. At first, you're going to see me just press forward and back, because I thought triangle was hop off backwards, because it only appears when she's behind her, so I don't press it straight away. But no, triangle is the only button that matters. You just wait for it to appear, you press it, and then she'll swing harder. I went into Tomb Raider mode where you have to swing forward and back yourself. But like in this section, like I'm just pushing forward, back, forward. Like I'm doing this myself, so I ignored the triangle prompt a couple times until I realized Tifa's not getting anywhere further. And I'm like, because I thought the triangle was like jump off backwards. And eventually I go, oh no, right, triangle is Tifa swings harder. Got it. And because of that, I get this done very quickly once I realize, because it's very easy.
That's some fine work.
I might be able to disable security from here. Huh?
Hot damn, girl.
But I didn't do anything.
Shit, I'll take it. So you can use that to look up what floor the research facility's on?
I think so. Give me a sec. Bingo. Professor Hojo's lab. 65th floor looks like. Huh. Guess we can only get to the 59th floor via the elevators or stairs. To access any level above that, we need to check in at the Skyview Hall reception.
59th floor it is, then.
Right.
And we now have our destination in mind. We need to get to Hojo's lab on the 65th floor. However, we need to reach the Skyview Hall first, which is on the 59th floor. Because you can't go any higher. No lift or staircase right now will take you any further than the 59th. Because these are like kind of like the business floors and the tourist floors, basically. These are the you get to see and see things for yourself floors, but no further. Before you go make your decision of where you're going to go and how you're going to work your way up there, go into this room in the east and pick up the Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden gives you, I think, no materia slots, but jacks up your defense radically. Yeah, foregoes materia, but plus 90 to core defense. So it's not necessarily the most worth it, especially in hard mode, but it can help in a pinch if you equip it to the right person. Especially if you haven't been doing that many side quests, so don't have access, or the battle intel either, don't have access to some of the more elaborate materia you'd want. But now a choice needs to be made. There's the lift, which will take you straight up to the 59th floor very quickly, but might get you spotted very easily and blow your cover before it's even begun. Or the staircase, which is agonizingly slow, but hey, you're less likely to be spotted. That cut there was me saving, because like I said, once I reach the top, I'm going to cut back down to the bottom. The game keeps track of what floor you're on in the corner, and will put your character names in order of who's higher.
But a lot more likely to die.
And you get to scale it yourself. As poor Barrett sits there and goes, "Oh no, we got to do from floor 3 to floor 59."
It's only 59.
It's only 59 floors. Yeah, nothing to it. Barrett's like, yeah. As long as we're not sprinting up there, we're fine. You also, you get this very weird camera angle with this. And I say very weird, you might not notice it too much, but it's like, it's ever so slightly more zoomed in. And it can kind of be a little dizzying because of it. Like, it's like the FOV is a little weird in this section. And it's because they want to kind of almost strain in the exhaustion of having to book it up it. But you'll see as we go on. Also, you're going to see me slow down for Barrett a lot, because Barrett will bitch at you if you get too far away from him, because he will climb the stairs the slowest. Everyone's going to slow down as they go up. And in the bottom right corner, you can see how far everyone actually is.
Just say you can't hack.
And you can see that Barrett's already slowing down. He's already knackered. In the original 7, they argued as well, but Tifa was a lot more aggressive. Like in her annoyance towards these two bickering at each other as they get more annoyed. And she says things that in 1997 were fine, but nowadays absolutely not. She drops an R-bomb, and during it she calls them both that word, and it's like, oh god, yeah, in 97 sure, but nowadays, yikes. And it's probably the only reason why, if I ever cover the original 7, it'll be interesting. I can't remember if they how much they censor it themselves, because they censor some swears in the original 7, because Barrett swears like a sailor in the original. But what they did in the original is that every time he went to say fuck or fucking or whatever, they'd give you the first letter and then like a bunch of symbols for the rest, like that kind of censorship. So every time there was swearing, you knew without having to be told what it was. Whilst in this, obviously, they swear more naturally because the industry's changed since then, and it's nowhere near as precious in swearing as it used to be.
Keep an eye on Barrett.
So they can have it and it come off natural. And it is something I will compliment on this game. And I've mentioned it before, like Devil May Cry 5, it feels like when the characters swear, they swear smartly. And I mean that in a writing sense. There's a lot of games, the Devil May Cry Reboot is a perfect example, where they'll just have characters swear all the time to try and make them sound like darker or edgier or more grown up. And it ends up coming across really childish and kind of like uncreative. And it's like, wow, you really couldn't think of any other word in the dictionary to do that? You just wanted to make the character say fuck 6 times? Okay, nice. Whilst in this, yeah, the characters swear, and they swear quite a bit, more than you might have been expecting compared to the original, where it was only really Barrett and Sid that swore like sailors. But every time they do, it fits the situation, and it ends up adding to the scene, where if they hadn't sworn, it wouldn't have had the same impact. And that's when it's perfectly justified in writing, and I think it's brilliant for it. And when people say, oh, you can write without swearing full stop, that's when I kind of go, nah. Because you can absolutely use swearing for impact and use it right, and it'll be better than what you'd get if you hadn't sworn. There are definitely moments and scenes in anything, whether it book, TV show, film, games, whatever, any form of media, where swearing will have more significance than not, because it will make the hit you need. Also, this isn't me. Cloud's slowed down to a walk on his own, but you see, I'm trying, and he's like, he's not up for it anymore. He's slowing down on his own. You just have to accept that, but I just kind of stay behind Barrett at this point, just so I don't get bitched at. Tifa actually pauses here because she was feeling a little tired, but then because she's the most athletic character here, she just books it again after she's had like a 5-second breather. And I love how the music gets more distorted. I know I'm talking over it, but the music gets more run down, slower, and distorted as they climb up because they're so exhausted by the time they reach the top. I love that they just kind of committed to keeping this section in and doing it. Even though, like I said, as soon as you reach the top step, I just load and show you the lift route. The only thing that's a little depressing is that for all the attention to detail this game has, there's a little scene later on where the game calls you out for how destructive and blunt you have been, and says, how do you think you've somehow got this far without being detected? But they directly mention you going up the lift even if you take the stairs. And I feel like they could have altered the dialogue slightly and just made well, at least you made an effort with the stairs, but they didn't. The only dialogue that you get from that scene is them talking about the lift, and it's like, if you didn't take the lift, if you only took the stairs and you never bothered coming back to take the lift, that scene doesn't make sense to you. It's like when you, it's like, because like they give you a little context without spoiling it. They say you scared someone, and it's like, well, no, it's because when you go up the lift, there's a point where the door opens, and it's just a normal worker on the other side who sees 3 people with weapons, panics, and the door closes again. And they mention that scared person, and it's like, if you go up the stairs, you never bump into that scared person, or you never scare that person, you know? So that little bit there, that little line ends up not making that much sense if you only took the stairs. Which is something you might notice on your first playthrough. I highly doubt it. They very much, the way they kind of structure it, I think they're trying to almost hide this as more as an Easter egg, the stairs section. You're only really going to look for it and know it if you've played the original to know this exists. So this Barrett. Like, that's a terrible thing to say. Don't make it a bad omen when that's going. The crowd just goes, let's shut up, let's stop. Let's not start talking about giving a suicidal last stands when we're in enemy HQ. And Barry goes, why?
Because wishing for trouble might bring it.
Yep. And you're in no state to
Yeah,
fight.
so yeah, and we're all exhausted. We just told you what to do, Barry. We told you to be quiet.
What should I do?
Just concentrate on breathing and walking. Yeah.
Up and move.
Oh, now look how slow he goes for these last few floors. Oh, Cloud. But the worst part is, picture it in your head for a second, going up like 59 flights of stairs like this. I would have made it up 2. I would have got to like at most floor 4 and had to sit down because my legs would be killing me. My thighs would have enough. And yet, look at these guys trudging on. I think even the most athletic people on the planet would struggle to do all 59 floors. They would get to like the last 10 at most and just be catching their breath a little. Because this is just a fitness exercise that goes on for way too long. Not a casual walk up the stairs sort of thing. Especially when putting up the picture and putting it in the realm of reality for a second. They've got weapons on them, shoes, and like proper like big like heavy boots as well. So like their feet, like they're carrying their clothes and their shit when they're going up the stairs. Because that is a big thing. A lot of people underestimate the difference shoes make in knackering you out going up and down stairs. It's that little bit of extra weight difference sometimes genuinely will just make it that much harder. Whilst when you're like It's why like, when you're in your own house, you can go up and down the stairs with ease without giving it much of a thought. But when you're out and about and you're going upstairs, you go up like 6 and your thighs ache.
Cloud, slow down.
Well, hopefully you're a little bit fitter than that, but you know what I mean. Like, you don't go up that many and you're suddenly like, oh god, I need to breathe. It's just a little bit of extra weight difference makes all the difference. It's not entirely his shoes' fault, but still. But here we are. We made it to the top floor. Oh god. Everyone breathe. It's almost tiring watching. Watching them go. Look at them. Even Tifa, for how athletic she is, it's like kind of having to press her hands on her knees and it's like, yeah, we made it. Oh jeez. What they should have done is make it that you can stay here for as long as you need. And then it comes up with like the press forward to move icon in the corner, like it did in the train graveyard. But no, they get up on their own.
Starts now. Okay.
And then this section just ends. It fades to black, but we're going to pretend it's locked and they went back down. AKA I loaded my save. So we can show off the lift route. The route they very much kind of expect you to take. The way the lift works, in the same vein it worked in the original, you're basically just going to go up and then every so many floors it will open because other people are going to call the lift. More often than not it will be fighting. There will be soldiers that will spot you and go, hang on a minute, what are you guys doing here? Go to kick off and fight, go to set the alarm, and we attack them to stop them from doing so and keep our heads down. But even though this is a fully animated cutscene, I'm going to talk over it because it lasts like 10 seconds and it's just them saying as we go up things are going to get harder, so be prepared. Because you see that now, this is what I mean. Floor 10, you open it up, these soldiers who are going to do it, it's like, uh-oh, we got trouble. And they open fire, somehow don't alert anyone else, and now we've got a quick fight to do here. Something that I haven't really mentioned, because it only has a chance of encountering, but now that we're kind of like Tifa's nearly maxed out, it's going to start popping up all the time. Because it seems to be linked to level and a lot of other things. But there's a thing called concentration that Tifa can have. And it's like, there's a chance every time you start a fight that she will activate concentration. What this does is make it that she immediately starts at like level 1 with her triangle. Instead of starting at level 0 where she only does the uppercut when you press triangle, she'll start at level 1 and do the shoulder check. So you only need to use 1 ATB to get her to max level instead of 2.
People ought to try using the damn stairs sometime.
Considering what we just did, I find that kind of ironic, Barrett. Sitting there, people should take the stairs sometimes. When we just did and we wink, it was locked, we had to go back down. But if you just pretend that my argument is canon for a second, that's okay. Also, that third guy shouldn't be awake. Did you see that swing that Barrett threw at the guy? He should be on the floor.
Get ready.
But we've gone from 2 to 3, so they are elite officers. Any like normal human enemy you fight from this point onwards are going to be elites. And so that doesn't just mean, you know, a grade with extra stats. They are going to be more aggressive in their AI, and some of them have more attacks or tools of the trade to weaken you. But once we go past this one, this little scene that's coming up, I will stop talking for, because it's a lengthy one that leads into different ideologies and discussions surrounding the building.
Straight on up to the top now. Come on.
We just keep getting waylaid, don't we?
If you want to take the stairs.
Now that you mention it. No.
30th floor. Doors open.
Heads up. Could be trouble.
Going up. Doors closing.
Right. Normal people work here too.
She probably called for help.
40th floor.
Who's it gonna be next?
Doors open.
Yeah, we're safe here. What about you, Mom? You okay? Good. That's a relief. What? Oh, they gotta be kidding.
Going up. Doors closing.
No, we haven't heard anything new yet. But they told us that Avalanche could attack again at any time. Just get somewhere safe,
Going
okay?
up.
Yeah,
Doors
about that.
closing.
A whole lot of normal people with families and friends work for Shinra. People just trying to support their loved ones as best they can. I know it's not exactly a revelation, but it's easy to forget.
A good man who serves a great evil is not without sin. He must recognize and accept his complicity. He must open his eyes to the truth that his corporate masters are profiting from the planet's pain. Only then can he redeem himself. I know you know this.
I do.
Tifa, we need to focus on saving Aerith.
I know. I will.
59th floor. Doors opening.
70, 80, 90, 100%, 110. Mako supersaturation confirmed.
Engaging materia cooling to reduce temperature.
Madame Director, you have a meeting shortly.
Stop. Your timing is impeccably atrocious.
Mako density and materia integrity are both holding steady.
Registering mass increase in core materia.
Now, show me something truly exquisite.
Contaminants registered.
We're leaving.
Materia growth accelerating, outpacing models. Registering crystallization within the reserve tanks.
The reaction is out of control! We have to stop it quickly!
Clean up the mess, would you?
Ma'am.
So this is the Skyview Hall, huh? Bet this place cost a fortune and then some.
If you took the stairs, you would see that Scarlet scene. That's what it would go to. You wouldn't see any of the lift stuff, obviously. It would only start at the Scarlet scene. And this is me just kind of waddling around, because we're near-ish to the space where the stairs come up. And I wanted to try at some point to show it off before we completely leave this space, where you'll end up if you come up from the stairs. Because we do waddle around before we start advancing up the floors. Because we've got our visitor's pass, and we basically have to do the tour. We have to go through the museum space and all the flashy stuff, which will eventually lead us to floor 63. And then we just got to work out how to get from 65 afterwards, which is only, listen, trying to work out how to climb 2 floors as opposed to trying to work out how to climb, you know, more. It'll do. And this digitized receptionist, yeah, thanks. Like, if she was real, she would have spotted all the weapons and told us to do one immediately, but no, here we are.
But this is kind of weird.
But you do get the waddle around, and because you have the visitor's pass, no one here will question your presence at all. It's kind of wild, but no one here for even a second like looks at your weapons and goes, "What are you guys doing here? Did security not like pat you down or, you know, use their eyes? Like, what's going on? You know, like none of them question it. They just kind of let you crack on." Which, to be fair, is appreciated, but it's still kind of odd when you think about it, because there's people over here on this back bit just kind of sitting around and chatting, and you can hear in on them and none of them care. There's also an optional scene if you come over here. You can completely miss it if you don't, but if you come back here, Barrett will run to look at the view and you'll get an extra scene.
Damn fools. Ones who come here at night to take in the view. So pretty and marvelous and beautiful. But every little light burning bright runs off her blood. And bit by bit they bleed her, never stopping to think how it'll end for them.
Yeah.
Terrible but beautiful all the same.
I also appreciate in these sections that you get such a clear indication of how deep-rooted Barrett's beliefs really are, of how he exactly feels. Like, he's not prepared to look at the bigger picture of people trying to financially support themselves, and so that's why they're working for it. This is where the stairs end, by the way. This is where they are. You see, like, the fisheye view kind of kicks in the moment you step into this section again anyway. It's weird. And then it kind of zooms back out a little bit. I know it's not actual fisheye, but you know what I mean? Like, there's that weird zoom in happens the moment you step there. But, like, Barrett's mentality of if you work for the bad guys, you are the bad guy, doesn't matter what. Like, the moment you think of the bigger picture, they've got to put money on... they've got to get money to put food on their table somehow, Barrett. People work for EA, doesn't mean they like the company. People work for Activision Blizzard, doesn't mean they like the harassment, you know? I know I'm using very controversial real-world things here, so I'm aware of my point, but I'm just... For people who genuinely agree with that argument, because there are people that do, who genuinely look at the arguments that Barrett's makes and believe it every fibre of their being and have, like, nothing but scorn the people that work for those companies. You have to think of it from their perspective. They have to put food on the table for their families somehow.
If you see anything out of the ordinary, I want to know.
Sorry to bother you, sir.
No, it's fine.
I've brought the damage assessment for Sector 7 you requested. Sir, perhaps you should try and get some sleep.
No, not yet. I need to finish preparing my draft of the reconstruction plan before tonight's board meeting. Whatever reasons they might have had, destroying an entire sector it's beyond the pale.
Director, I would strongly advise you not to say such things outside of this room.
Don't I know it?
Welcome to the Shinra Building, our humble home.
Oh, hell no!
Here, in the Memorial Museum, you can learn all about our president, as well as the various divisions that make up the company. And of course, the city of Midgard, and the miracle of Mako energy. Whatever takes your fancy, you're sure to learn something new.
Yeah, shut up!
Alright, Barrett, I will, jeez. Anyway, next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to, well, see what the upper floors bring. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.